AI can be a very useful study partner. It can explain things more clearly, quiz you, help you organize your time, and even point out gaps in your understanding. But it can also become a very convincing shortcut, and that's where this gets tricky. The deeper danger is that AI can make you feel productive while quietly removing the exact mental work that would have helped you learn. And that is what we are going to focus on today. Let's set sail. Because a lot of people are not sitting down thinking, how can I cheat this? They're thinking, I'm stuck, I'm overwhelmed, I want help. And that's fair. The problem is that there's a big difference between AI helping you move through the material and AI stepping in so completely that you never really have to engage with it. Those two things can look similar on the surface, but only one of those is really helping you build understanding. Finishing faster is not automatically the same thing as learning better. And that's an important distinction, because AI is very good at producing polished output. But none of that guarantees that the understanding is actually in your head. AI is useful when it supports the learning, and it becomes a problem when it starts replacing the learning. So the question is not, should I use AI while studying? The better question is, how do I use AI in a way that still leaves the learning with me? We will look at 3 big roles AI can play: helping you understand, helping you practice, and helping you stay organized and improve your own work. And then we'll look at where it starts to slide into shortcut territory. One of the best uses for AI while studying is as a kind of flexible tutor. Not because it replaces a teacher or it gets everything right, but because it can take the same idea and explain it in different ways until one of them finally clicks. That matters because a lot of the time when people say, I don't get this, what they really mean is, the way this was explained to me doesn't make sense. And that happens all the time. Maybe the textbook is too dense, or the teacher moved too fast. This is where AI can be genuinely helpful. You can ask it to explain a concept in plain English. You can ask it to make an explanation simpler without removing the important part. You can ask it for an analogy, or ask it to explain the same idea at a middle school level, then at a high school level, then at a college level. You can even ask it what background concept you're missing that's making the current topic feel confusing. And that flexibility is what can truly help you learn. You can look at the idea in slightly different ways until it makes sense. And that's a lot closer to what a real tutor does. A good tutor doesn't just repeat the same sentence louder. A good tutor shifts the angle. They rephrase it, or compare, or simplify it, or even connect it to something you already know. AI can do some of that very quickly. And one underrated part of this is that you can ask follow-up questions without feeling embarrassed. You can say, I still don't get it, or that it was too abstract, or even explain that again but assume I know almost nothing. And that can be very useful, especially for people who shut down a little when they feel behind. But there's an important thing to remember. Understanding an explanation is not the same as owning the idea yet. Just because something sounds clearer when AI says it does not automatically mean you could explain it to yourself or someone else. It means you're in a better position to start learning it. So understanding is a great first step. For example, if you're in AP Biology, you might ask AI to explain photosynthesis like I'm in AP Biology, but still new to the topic. Another good use of AI in understanding is to break complicated material down into smaller pieces. It's not that a person is incapable of learning a topic, it's that too much is arriving at once. And when that happens, it can be difficult to understand the bridge between different ideas and topics. That's where AI can help by slowing the material down and breaking it apart. For example, you might ask AI to break the causes of World War I into the main ideas that you need to understand. And AI can help you by showing you the main things that happened before you dive into the details of each of those main ideas. You can ask AI to define unfamiliar terms, or have it list ideas in sequence instead of just one big block of text. And suddenly the material is not necessarily easy, but it is more approachable. And once you can see the different concepts, you can deal with each idea one at a time. Because when studying feels impossible, it's the feeling of, I don't even know where to start. And AI can help you create a starting point. And remember, a cleaner explanation is just the beginning. And a better organized paragraph is still just input. If you stop there, you may feel less confused, but you may not actually know the material. So once AI helps make the material clearer, the next step is to do something active with it, because understanding and learning a topic usually gets built in layers. AI can reduce confusion and help clarify the material. At some point, you have to shift from, I can follow this, to I can use this. And that brings us to the next role. Once something makes more sense, the next question is whether you can actually do anything with it. And this is where AI is also very useful, because one of the biggest problems in studying is that people do a lot of things that feel like studying without requiring much mental effort. They reread notes, they highlight, they skim summaries, they look over examples and think, yeah, that makes sense. And sometimes that helps a little, but it can also create a false sense of familiarity. You see the material enough times that it feels known, but then the moment you're asked to produce it from memory, or explain it in your own words, or apply it in a new way, it falls apart. That's where practice and recall matter. One of the things you can do is ask AI, quiz me on supply and demand, one question at a time. Don't show the answer until I respond, and start with basic questions and then make them harder. And also include some real-world examples and not just definitions. And AI will start to ask you questions, and it will correct your understanding. And that's important because AI is no longer just giving you the material, it's pulling the material back out of you. And trying to remember is one of the things that helps learning stick. And that's why a little struggle here is actually good. If you can get part of the answer and not all of it, that's not a sign that you're failing. That effort is part of the process. And AI can help create as much of that practice as you need. If your textbook has 5 questions and you want 10 more, AI can generate more. So instead of just rereading what you've already seen, you can turn the material into something active. Because reviewing the material and actually having to explain it are not the same thing. And AI can be a very useful quiz partner to help you do that. Another way you can practice with AI is to explain a concept in your own words. Maybe you type out an explanation of mitosis, and you ask AI not to re-explain it, but to first check your understanding, and ask you follow-up questions to find the weak spots in your explanation. And in this case, AI is acting more like feedback, more like a tutor looking at your explanation and saying, this part is solid, this part's a little fuzzy, and this is missing a key step. And that can be extremely valuable. Because one of the hardest things in learning is actually seeing the gap between what feels understood and what is actually understood. And AI can help make that gap visible. And then you can take it a step further and ask it to question you. And that keeps the conversation focused on your thinking. It allows you to find the holes in your understanding. And again, that keeps the learning active and it keeps your brain involved. You can also take this beyond simple quiz questions. AI can help create flashcards or make a fill-in-the-blank review, or it can create scenario questions or role play. And that's where AI can help. It can pretend to be a teacher asking oral exam questions, or it can act like an interviewer or a debate opponent. It can even act like a patient if you're practicing communication in a healthcare setting. You still need judgment, but the point is that AI can make studying more interactive. So now that AI has helped us make the material clearer, and it has helped us practice actively, there's one more role where it can be very useful without turning into a crutch. A lot of people do not fail at studying because they are incapable of learning the material. They struggle because the whole thing feels too big or too messy, or it's just too hard to begin. They have a test in 5 days and 3 chapters to review and limited time. They're not confident about the material and they don't have a clear plan. So instead of studying, they spend half their energy feeling behind. This is another place where AI can help, not by studying for you or learning the content for you, but by creating structure. You can tell AI how much time you have, what subject you're studying, and tell it what you feel weakest on. And then you can ask it to build a study plan. Like maybe you say, I have an AP biology test in 5 days, and I have 30 minutes a day to study. Build me a study plan. And AI will break that down for you and tell you what to focus on each day. And that can be very helpful because often getting started is half of the problem. And if AI can make it easier to plan, it can make the real work a lot easier to begin. A good study plan does not magically create discipline or understanding, but it can remove some of the fog and overwhelm. It can turn, I have so much to do, into here's what I'm doing today. Another good use is feedback, and this is especially useful when writing essays or having to make an argument for something, anything where clarity and reasoning matter. You can write a paragraph yourself and ask AI if it's clear. You can ask whether you actually answered the question or where the reasoning feels weak. You might ask AI, tell me what is too broad or unclear in this paragraph, and then give it a paragraph you've written about the Battle of Cowpens. AI will respond and let you know where it feels like your phrasing or your explanations are not clear or don't have enough information. And that fast feedback can make revisions much easier. This is a spot where the line matters. There's a difference between using AI to point out weaknesses and using AI to replace your own voice entirely. If you write something and AI says this paragraph is unclear because your main point shows up too late, that can help you revise. If you give AI a paragraph and ask it to rewrite the whole thing so that it's explained better, that's not really studying anymore. And even if the result sounds polished, the understanding may still be shallow because you skipped the thinking and revising process that would have helped you grow. So a good way to approach it is to allow AI to make suggestions, and that keeps the effort and the learning connected to your own work. AI becomes a coach or editor, not a ghostwriter. So now that we've looked at how AI can help you understand, practice, organize, and improve, we need to talk directly about where it starts to go wrong. And this is the part where AI stops being a study partner and starts doing the work for you. Sometimes that's very obvious, like, write this for me. But a lot of the time it happens in subtler ways. You might ask for a summary before you've engaged with the material at all. You read the summary and it feels like you've studied. You let AI generate answers from scratch and then tell yourself that reading it counts as learning. Or you see something and think, yeah, that makes sense, but you never test whether you could retrieve or apply it on your own. And that is the trap. Because AI can create the feeling of clarity, momentum, and progress. But if that thinking never happened in your head, then a lot of the value never showed up either. And this is why I think the real danger is not just rule breaking or plagiarism. It's outsourcing the exact mental work that was supposed to help you learn. The process of writing, explaining, comparing, and struggling are all part of how learning would have stuck. And when AI smooths that all out too early, you end up with clean output, but also weaker understanding. When AI helps you understand something better, practice, organize, or get feedback on your own attempts, that's good. But when AI takes over the explaining, retrieving, organizing, and writing in a way that leaves you mostly passive, the value drops fast. And the important thing to remember is AI can sound very confident while still being wrong. So even in the good use cases, you still need to verify and compare against your class material, textbook, teacher instructions, and trusted sources to ensure accuracy. Because a polished wrong answer is still wrong. Part of studying well is not becoming too trusting just because the wording sounds smooth. So when you're using AI as a study partner, it's good to use AI to help you understand and practice and then organize and improve your work. But don't use AI to bypass the effort that makes the learning stick. Because the goal is not just to get through the material, The goal is to come out the other side actually knowing more than you did before. And the best way to study with AI is to let it support the process without taking over the part that your brain still needs to do. So until next time, I wish you smooth sailing.